All right, so my lazy ass doesn't want to drop the rear end on this motorcycle, this 2007 R1200GS, but I want to change the rear drive oil. So I'm going to do it with some tubing and some suction, something that the forum keeps saying, oh, you can't do, and we're going to try to do it. So this is the stuff, Everbuilt, 3/16 of an inch micro fuel line, and I got a 10 foot length for $5 in the plumbing section at Home Depot. All right, so everybody's going to think this is crazy, and that everyone's probably just saying, why don't you just drop the rear end and drain the oil? But we're going to try to get the oil out with suction with this tubing. So the tubing is too thick. So we're going to use a simple butane torch, and we're going to grab a decent length where you can grab the ends, so you have, and you're going to stretch, and you're just going to gently heat the tubing while you're putting it on some pretty strong stretch, and you can already see that the tubing is getting longer, and with that it's getting narrower. Look at that. See, we're even getting it now a little bit too narrow over on this side right here. So we're going to heat this side preferentially. This is perfect. Made it about, and we even have a nice narrow spot in the center, and that's what we're going to use. All right, so now you can see the tubing is narrow, and here's the narrowest point. So this is where we're going to cut on a very, very, very angled bias. To create narrow pointed tip. So you cut the 3/16 of an inch tubing on a bias very, very, very sharply to create a tip like this, and then inserting it towards 2 o'clock. It goes in pretty far. And you can turn the wheel a little bit down, just slightly, to get it to go in. And then you hook this end up to a syringe. Okay, we got our little syringe on some stretched out 3/16 of an inch lawnmower fuel line, and I'm able to pull 10 cc's out at a time with a regular Luer lock syringe. Okay, now I got out 150 cc's. I got out 15 of these syringes, and now I'm just getting air. So 150 cc's, it holds 200, so getting out 75% of the oil is fine. You're going to replace it, and the oil doesn't really break down that much anyway. You don't have to get 100% of it. So I'm going to fill this now with 150 cc's of new gear oil. All right, now we're going to fill. So we got some 75W90 oil, and we're going to draw up the syringe, 10 cc's, and we're going to just infuse 10 cc's of oil in at a time. There we go. We're going to do this 14 more times. If you had a larger syringe with the same Luer adapter, you could do it fewer times, but this is the only syringe that I have. All right, here we have it. I think changing 75% of the oil from the rear end is perfectly fine. Pretty much when you're doing it by dropping the rear end, you're changing only 180 out of 200 milliliters. We changed 150, so it's 75% new oil. You do that every now and then, 10,000 miles, and you're golden.